If you had a pain in your head and I asked you to show me where it was, you'd probably just point and show me. If you could only use words to tell me where the pain was, though, you'd probably say something like the top of my head, the front of my head, the side of my head, or something along those lines. In neuroscience, we have specific terminology that we use to navigate and describe places in the brain. By the end of this video, you guys will know the lingo necessary to describe and understand where things are in the brain. The human head and animal heads in general are weirdly shaped. People have their eyes and their ears and their noses in slightly different places. If I measured 10 people's heads, they would all have slightly or not so slightly different dimensions. The brain is the same way. It's shaped a little bit differently for everybody, even if it's generally the same. To get around this, scientists have created standardized ways that we talk and write about places in the brain. The first words that you'll need to know are dorsal, ventral, lateral, and medial. Dorsal, like the dorsal fin of a dolphin, is the top. The dorsal part of your body starts at the top of your head and then runs down your back. Similarly, for the brain specifically, the dorsal part is just the top. Ventral is sort of the opposite of dorsal. It's the bottom or the under part of the body. For a human, this includes your front. Your ventral cavity is where all of your organs go. So dorsal is the top and ventral is the bottom. Lateral means to the side, right or left. These words are used to describe things in relation to one another. So the arms extend laterally from the spine, and the spine is dorsal to all of your organs. The last relation word we'll learn is medial. Medial is the midline. Imagine looking at a person head on and then drawing a line directly down their middle. The medial surface of the brain is the space between the two halves of your brain. Confused yet? Because there's a little bit more. Dorsal, ventral, lateral, and medial are four important words that we use to discuss places in the body and in particular the brain. Navigating and imaging the brain requires some other terms too. As I mentioned before, the words that I already discussed describe things in relation to one another. Now we're going to learn the words that we need to describe cross-sections of the brain. The next three words we're going to learn are axial, sagittal, and coronal. Think of those three words as the different ways that we can slice up a person or a brain. No, but really, that's what we're doing. Axial, or sometimes called transverse, is the way that people generally get sawed in half at magic shows. An axial view of the brain is a slice seen from the top to the bottom or from the bottom looking up. In other words, it's a slice like this viewed from a bird's eye view. Another way you can think of this is just looking down into someone's brain from directly above them. Sagittal is the most well-known brain slice because it's the one that looks like a brain. They use it in movies to show MRI scans in a hospital. A sagittal slice is seen from the left or right of a person. You can think about it as looking into a person's brain through their ear. Coronal is the view of the brain from the front to the back or from the back to the front. Think of this as looking into a person's brain from directly behind them. So now we know dorsal, ventral, lateral, medial, axial, sagittal, and coronal. And for the most part, that's about it. The last thing I'll mention in this video are brain coordinate systems. In neuroscience, it's nice to have words like the ones we've already discussed to generally describe where stuff is in the brain. But when you're doing an injection into the brain or surgery on the brain, you need to be a little more specific than that. We need particular specific instructions on where to look, where to cut, or where to inject. Neuroscientists and neurosurgeons have developed standardized coordinate systems that give us exact locations in the brain. Before getting to the modern coordinate systems, in 1909, Corbin and Brodmann developed a monogram of the brain that divided it into what he called Brodmann areas. He split the brain into 43 Brodmann areas based on their cell histology and their general place in the brain. This was extremely useful at the time, and a lot of people in neuroscience or neuropsychology still use Brodmann areas to describe places in the brain today. There was a major breakthrough for brain coordinate systems in 1967. Neurosurgeons Jean Talleyrand and Gabor Zikla created the Talleyrand Atlas. This map of the brain used their own Talleyrand coordinates to describe exact places in the brain. This standardized neurosurgery and helped neurosurgeons to make more precise operations, and it improved the field a lot. In recent history, the Montreal Neurological Institute created the MNI brain coordinate system. It's gained so much popularity in the last couple decades that every major neuroimaging software has the ability to convert between MNI and Talleyrand coordinates. Understanding these coordinate systems is a little above the scope of this video, but I thought I'd mention it anyway because this is the most precise way that neuroscientists and neurosurgeons have of describing places in the brain. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when I post new content. If you have a headache, comment below and let me know where it is, in neuroscience terms. Take care of your brains, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.